Carolina Panthers has been hiding something in plain sight, and nobody's talking about it. After years of empty promises and false starts, something inside that building feels almost dangerous, like a sleeping giant waking up. The Panthers have turned heartbreak into fuel, and you can feel it in every rumor, every offseason move, every whispered quote that leaks out of minicamp. This isn't the same old tired rebuild. This is a franchise finally pulling together a blueprint that might actually change its future. What nobody expected is how quickly Carolina flipped the mood from hopeless to hungry. A roster that once looked scattered has started to stack up with players who know exactly how to win. They brought in champions who have already lifted trophies. They drafted prospects who come from powerhouse programs where losing is never an option. Mix that with a quarterback who's finally stepping into his own voice, a front office that refuses to settle for average, and a fan base starved for any spark of hope, and you've got something brewing that nobody should ignore. The shocking part is, every one of these pieces looks like it could actually fit. But here's the twist that should keep the entire NFC South up at night. If the Panthers finally found a formula to protect Bryce Young and build an offense around him, the door swings wide open for a level of attack we haven't seen in Charlotte for years. Because it all starts in the trenches, and if this rebuilt offensive line holds up, there's no telling how far this team could go. Let's dig into how this line went from pure disaster to a possible secret weapon that might finally unlock the entire Carolina offense. But before we talk more about that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Panthers and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 500 likes on this video. Carolina's offensive line was a punchline not long ago, blamed for shattered drives and broken quarterbacks. But what nobody saw coming was how fast they rebuilt it into something that might be their strongest unit. They locked down Robert Hunt, who played 16 games last season and proved he can handle the right guard spot with power. Damian Lewis, a rock-solid pickup from Seattle, added muscle on the left side and showed a 75.5 grade that puts him among the best in the league. And Chandler Zavala, once written off as a rookie bust, flipped the narrative with cleaner footwork and a sharper mindset that stunned everyone at camp. The shocking twist is how Carolina turned that chaos into depth. Behind the starters, they still have Brady Christensen ready as a versatile swing piece, while Cade Mays and Austin Corbett are about to battle for the center spot like their careers depend on it. Mays, still young with a growing skill set, showed last season that he can hold his own against the league's nastiest defensive linemen. Corbett, recovering from injuries, is fighting for another shot to prove he can anchor this group. Whoever wins, Bryce Young finally gets something he has never had in the NFL, a front five that might actually give him time to attack. What nobody's talking about is how much these fresh faces and hungry veterans can change everything. If they stay healthy and stay connected, the Panthers could flip the entire script on their offense, controlling the line of scrimmage in ways that make defensive coordinators sweat. And once that pocket holds steady, every weapon in this scheme starts to matter again. But it all comes down to who takes command at center, where a real battle is brewing that might define the season before a single snap is played. People doubted whether Bryce Young could ever command a franchise, but now the conversation is shifting fast. Year 3 has flipped a switch in him that nobody saw coming. Teammates say he's louder, sharper, and more confident, taking charge of the huddle like he owns it. You can see it in how he's working routes with JT Sanders, pushing receivers to get their details right, and even speaking up about play designs with Dave Canales. That's not the Bryce from last year who was quiet and careful. This is a young quarterback acting like a true general, unafraid to put his stamp on the offense. What nobody's talking about is how powerful this version of Bryce could become. When your quarterback sets the tone, the entire roster tends to follow, and Carolina hasn't seen that kind of command since Cam Newton was in his prime. Bryce is still small for the position, but he's starting to play with a giant's confidence, embracing the dirty work of leadership that doesn't show up on highlight reels. That means calling out mistakes, holding guys accountable, and making sure nobody drifts through a practice. When a leader believes, a team can rally behind him, and that is exactly what is happening in Charlotte. But the most dangerous part for the rest of the league is how much more comfortable he looks with the playbook. No more starting from scratch with the new coordinator. This time, Dave Canales is tailoring the system around what Bryce already does best, letting him use his quick mind and creative footwork. That partnership could unleash something scary, giving Carolina a quarterback who is finally ready to dictate games instead of just surviving them. And once Bryce is free to play on instinct, everything about this attack could look brand new. Up next is the side of the ball that refuses to let last year's shame define their future. Carolina's defense took a beating so brutal last year that it will stay stamped on their record books for a long time, but nobody inside that locker room wants to carry that shame forward. Ejiro Evero has been pushing a mission since the first day of camp: never let 2024 happen again. You can feel the urgency in how these defenders move, how they talk, and how they refuse to let simple details slip through the cracks. Shaw Smith-Wade, a second-year corner who showed flashes of ball-hawking skills, is stepping into a bigger role, while Damani Richardson is fighting for reps as a steady safety who can clean up coverage busts. These are not raw anymore. These are hungry, battle-tested players who learn the hard way what happens when you fail to communicate. What nobody's talking about is the championship experience Carolina quietly loaded into this roster. Tershawn Wharton knows how to win after holding a Super Bowl ring, and Bobby Brown has seen how elite units stick together. Even Christian Roseboom, a linebacker brought in to steady the rotation, carries that championship mindset that younger teammates notice fast. When you combine that with a group that got embarrassed last season, it's a dangerous formula. They don't just want to be decent, they want payback, and they want it now. The scary part is how much momentum a defense can gain if it starts clicking early. If Evero's system finally sticks, and if these veterans build trust with the young pieces, the Panthers could transform from one of the worst defenses in history to one that makes quarterbacks fear stepping on the field. And the NFC South isn't exactly packed with unstoppable offenses, so if Carolina's defense finds a rhythm, they could tilt the whole division. But there's more to this rebirth than schemes and coaches. Next comes the fire burning through every practice, a spark that could make or break this entire roster. Every practice at Panthers camp feels like a fight for survival, with Bryce Young throwing competitive trash talk, J.C. Horn locking down coverage, and linemen battling for every inch, all fueling a tension that reshapes the team's identity. Carolina's staff has built this intense, merit-based culture to push every player beyond their limits, seen clearly in fierce battles among receivers like Hunter Renfrow, David Moore, and Xavier Legette, and a loaded running back group led by Rico Dowdle and rookies like Trevor Etienne. Nobody's spot is guaranteed, and that ruthless edge might be the secret weapon that helps Carolina withstand a punishing NFL season, creating not just a deeper roster, but a tougher one ready to handle the real hits that are coming. Carolina looks ready to unleash a wave of second-year talent that could change everything, with JT Sanders transforming into a dangerous tight end threat, Shaw Smith-Wade sharpening his coverage skills, and Xavier Legette stepping up as a red zone bully after fixing his hands, each now poised to make a real impact instead of just filling roster spots. Their growth could free up veterans like Adam Thielen, add new dimensions to the passing game, and tighten the defense with better communication, forcing opponents to rethink how they attack the Panthers. That rise in confidence and skill could energize the entire team, turning a roster full of question marks into one packed with young difference makers, as long as leaders at the top keep steering this momentum in the right direction. So here's the question that matters most. What is your reason to believe in the Panthers right now? Is it Bryce Young's growth, the new culture, the stacked line, or the fire on defense? Drop your answer in the comments, and let's ride this out together. If you're feeling that same rush in your chest, hit like, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss what comes next. No matter what, keep pounding, because this ride is just getting started.